afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jessica Lee and you're watching Updates at Noon. Making the headlines today. PRN candidates advised to avoid issues that incite public anger. The 3 Malaysians stranded in Sudan now safely back home. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi has advised candidates contesting in the upcoming elections in 6 states to avoid issues that will incite public anger. The Barisan Nasional Chairman and UMNO President said although candidates have differing opinions and political views, they need to act rationally when campaigning. He also said that Malaysians should not be politicking all the time, but only when elections are held so that effort can be given to develop the country. The Deputy Prime Minister was met at the Aidilfitri celebrations at Tumina Hamidi Mosque in Bagan Datuk, Perak. A Malaysian mother, along with her 2 children, who were trapped for 22 days in the Al Gaza region in Sudan following the unrest in the country, safely arrived at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport early this morning. Junaida Slamat, 49, and her 2 children, Muhammad Ashraf, 19, and Juliana Ashraf, 23, landed safely at 4:15 a.m. via Saudi SV842 flight. However, her husband, Ashraf Gastun Elsin, 54, who is a Sudanese, is still stranded at the Sudan port because he does not have the Saudi Arabia resident pass. Now, recalling her experience throughout the 22 days, Junaida said that a day before the clash between the Sudanese army and the Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, erupted, her day went on as usual.
Pada hari kedua, bila saya bangun pagi selepas azan subuh, kedengaran bunyi tembakan dan juga tembakan daripada kereta kebal yang sangat kuat menggegarkan rumah kami. Selepas kejadian itu berlangsung daripada pukul 5 pagi sehingga 7 pagi. Kebanyakan barang-barang sudah habislah, terutamanya air minum. Air minuman tidak dijual lagi. Pukul 5 petang bekalan elektrik pun terputus selama 6 hari. Di luar kawasan kami ada bekalan elektrik, tapi sebab kawasan kami berdekatan dengan kem kereta kebal, sebab tu tiada bekalan elektrik. COVID-19 tu boleh lagi pergi hospital. Kalau ada perang ni tak boleh keluar. Sebab kalau kita nak keluar, ujung jalan tu askar dah buat sekatan jalan. Kalau kita nak pergi, dia kata patah balik. Lepas tu pergi lagi sebelah sana, kata patah balik. Macam mana kita nak keluar? Kalau kita tak dengar cakap dia tembak terus.
Junaida thanked the staff at the Malaysian Embassy in Sudan, the Malaysian Consulate General in Jeddah, the government of Saudi Arabia, the Pakistani Embassy in Sudan, and all those involved for helping to bring her and her children safely out of Khartoum. The public are reminded to refrain from conducting open burning, especially in flammable areas, during the current hot and dry weather. Now, Local Government Development Minister Nga Koming called on everyone to give cooperation to avoid any sudden fire breakout incident.
Open burning definitely need to be avoided. Jika tidak, bukan saja dia mengakibatkan pencemaran, tetapi dia akan menambahkan lagi suhu dan juga cuaca, menjadikan kawasan sekeliling lagi panas. Oleh kerana itu, kita memohon kerjasama semua pihak, tidak melakukan apa-apa saja open burning. Termasuk pembakaran daun-daun, pembakaran sampah.
He said this at the 9th Larian Bersama Bomba Malaysia Madani program in Bulatan Sultan Azlan Shah, Meru Raya in Ipoh yesterday. There will be no postponement of lectures and outdoor activities for students at higher education institutions or IPTs following the current hot weather phenomenon. Now, Higher Education Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Khalid Nordin said lectures and outdoor activities, including sports, will continue as usual. He said that any decision regarding a postponement will be made based on the current situation, adding that if a situation worsens, only outdoor activities will be put on hold while indoor classes will go on as usual.
Kita bergantung pada keadaan. Macam apa? Biasa siang memang dia tak ada tu, dan aktiviti sukan ni dia bukan wajib, tu masing-masing punya kegiatan.
He said this after attending the UMNO Veterans Aidilfitri celebration in Johor Bahru yesterday, with Johor Menteri Besar Datuk On Hafiz Ghazi also present. Now, the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, or MAFS, is working on setting up a big data system to obtain real-time information regarding vegetable supply in this country. Its Minister, Datuk Seri Muhammad Sabu, said the Federal Agricultural Marketing Authority, or FAMA, and other relevant authorities are working to develop the system. He, however, said that there is no definite timeline of the system completion yet. Elaborating further, he said through the system, the ministry could find out which vegetables need to be planted to avoid overproduction, which can lead to a drastic drop in prices. Meanwhile, Muhammad said that the food supply throughout the country is still sufficient and under control, adding that the ministry will monitor the situation during the hot spell. The minister added that despite there were shortages involving sugar in some places, the Ministry of Domestic Trade and Cost of Living managed to deal with it immediately. Now, the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, or MCMC, and telecommunication companies, telcos, will meet on Monday following the Cabinet's decision to implement a dual 5G network once the current rollout under Digital Nasional Berhad has reached 80% of populated areas. Communications and Digital Minister Fahmi Fadzil said he would explain the government's decision on the matter, which will involve several entities and telcos working together to build adequate telecommunication towers to ensure there is more than one network available after the 5G coverage target under the single network is achieved. Now, Fahmi said the plan is hoped to be a win-win situation for all while prioritizing the people's rights and at the same time resolving the monopoly issue. On the 4G coverage, Fahmi said that even though it had reached 96.92%, the situation was not yet ideal because the figure was only an aggregate or composite percentage of coverage of all telecommunications companies.
Dia isunya sebelum ni bila kita sebut ada 96.92% liputan 4G di seluruh negara, realitinya tidak ada satu syarikat telco yang capaian rangkaian 4G-nya capai 96.92%. Dia sebenarnya adalah aggregate ataupun komposit semua syarikat telco.
Now, the construction of Phase 2 and 3 of the Sabah Sarawak Link Road, or SSLR project, which connects Sabah and Sarawak without going through Brunei, is currently in the process of management and price evaluation. Now, Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Fadila Yusof said after the completion of the process, the project will be brought for the tender. He said the first phase of the project, which started from Lawas to Paberunut, has already begun. The Deputy Prime Minister said that phase 2 of the Pan-Borneo project connecting Miri with Limbang and then Lawas via Brunei will be implemented during this term. According to him, the sparse population in remote areas in Sarawak is a challenge because according to the federal government's development plan, the focus of development is on densely populated areas. This caused the area to lag far behind in terms of development, but the government has begun to give serious focus to development in Sarawak. At the Sarawak state level, he said several regional development authorities have been established which are seen to be able to implement the development of feeder roads that can connect Pan-Borneo with coastal roads. In our foreign segment, thousands flee deadly ethnic violence in India's Manipur. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres on Saturday urged all armed groups in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo to lay down their weapons, saying their presence was causing humanitarian tragedies and threatening regional security. Guterres was speaking at a meeting of regional leaders in Bujumbura, the commercial capital of Burundi, convened to discuss the security situation in Congo, where over 100 armed groups have been blamed for violence and mass displacement of civilians. Eastern Congo has for years been plagued by widespread violence that has included killings, rapes and mutilations by armed insurgents from various groups, including M23 and the Allied Democratic Forces, or the ADF. Guterres said a resurgence of the M23 since November 2021 has displaced at least 500,000 people. Congo accuses neighbouring Rwanda of supporting the M23 rebels, which are made up of mostly Tutsi ethnic group members from Congo's east. Rwanda denies the accusation and accuses Congo of persecuting its Tutsi population and fanning ethnic hatred against them. Now the death toll after ethnic clashes in India's remote northeast rose to 54 on Saturday, with fresh violence overnight despite authorities rushing in troops to restore order. Thousands of soldiers were sent to Manipur state after a protest march by a tribal group turned violent on Wednesday. Authorities imposed an internet blackout and issued shoot-at-sight orders in extreme cases in an effort to contain the unrest. The situation remained tense after a fresh bout of violence on Friday night, hours after the state's top police officer warned that rioters had stolen arms and ammunition from police stations. Hospital morgues in the state capital, Impal and Churachandpur district further south had reported a combined total of 54 dead. Manipur Director General of Police P. Dongal said that security forces were bringing the situation under control. But he added that some police stations had been overrun by miscreants who stole arms and ammunition and issued a public appeal for their return. A prominent Russian nationalist writer, Zakhar Prilepin, was wounded in a car bombing that killed his driver on Saturday, and investigators said a detained suspect admitted acting on behalf of Ukraine. The State Investigative Committee said the writer's Audi Q7 was blown up in a village in Nizhny Novgorod region, which was treating it as an act of terrorism. It said Prilepin had been taken to hospital. The committee released a photograph showing the white vehicle lying overturned on track next to a wood with a deep crater beside it and fragments of metal strewn nearby. The committee later issued a statement saying investigators were questioning a suspect identified as Alexander Permyakov. Now, in a video it published on his Telegram channel on Saturday, a man presented as a suspect is heard acknowledging he was recruited by the Ukrainian secret services and confirming his target was killing and eliminating Zakhar Prilepin. Now, a shooter opened fire at an outlet mall in the Dallas suburb of Allen in the latest mass shooting in the United States. At least 9 people were shot and wounded in the incident, but police said they were not yet able to confirm how many people may have died in the incident. Authorities say they believe the gunman, who was wearing tactical gear, acted alone. The city's police chief, Brian Harvey, said an off-duty police officer was in the mall on an unrelated call when gunfire broke out around 3:30 p.m. local time. He then engaged the suspect and neutralized him. Allen Fire Department Chief John Boyd noted that his department took at least 9 victims with gunshot wounds to the nearest hospitals. He, however, did not clarify the victim's condition and added that there could have been more people wounded. Texas Governor Greg Abbott called the mass shooting an unspeakable tragedy. According to the Gun Violence Archive, there have been more than 195 mass shootings so far this year in the United States. With more firearms than inhabitants, the United States has the highest rate of gun deaths of any developed country, 49,000 in 2021, up from 45,000 the year before. The Turkish main opposition's presidential candidate, Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, held one of his most crowded election rallies in Istanbul on Saturday. An alliance of 6 opposition parties named the earnest and sometimes feisty former civil servant as its candidate to take on Erdogan in the 14th May elections, which are seen as perhaps the most consequential in the country's modern history. Opinion polls generally show Kılıçdaroğlu, 74, holding an edge and possibly winning in a second round vote after an inclusive campaign promising solutions to a cost of living crisis that eroded the president's popularity in recent years. He has pledged a return to orthodox economic policies and a parliamentary system of governance, independence for a judiciary critics say Erdogan has used to crack down on dissent and somewhat smoother relations with the West. Now, polls suggest a tight presidential and parliamentary vote, which will decide not just who leads Turkey, but what role it may play to ease conflict in Ukraine and West Asia. Coming up in sport, Urawa secured 3rd Asian title as own goal sings Al Hilal. Now, a day after SEA Games 2023 officially raised its curtains, the national contingent can heave a sigh of relief after securing medals yesterday. Now, this was because the national camp had found itself coming up short as other competing nations took an early lead in the medal tally. Now, the national contingent won 12 medals yesterday, comprising 2 golds, 2 silvers and 8 bronzes. Praise has to be given to the karate squad who contributed 2 gold medals through defending champion C. Shah Malarani and 2019 champion S. Prem Kumar. Malaysia secured their first medal of the Games yesterday morning when one Atira Hidayah Ahmad Fuzli won the bronze in the women's obstacle race event. Meanwhile, Malaysia will have the opportunity to add to its gold medal collection through the indoor hockey squads. Now, both the men's and women's teams will defend the gold medals won in the 2019 edition when they play in the final this evening. Now, the men will face Indonesia while the women's squad will be playing against Thailand. Meanwhile, Youth and Sports Minister Hannah Yeoh said Malaysia had made an excellent start in the SEA Games 2023 by winning 2 golds yesterday. Now, Hannah said she was particularly happy with karate exponent Prem Kumar's golden strike in the men's kumite under 55 kilograms, as he had not been expected to win. Shah Malarani also won Malaysia's first gold in women's kumite under 50 kilograms. Dato' Muhammad Nasir is also relieved with a 2-goal haul as it made amends for missing out on the jiu-jitsu gold yesterday. He's confident that the national karate squad can keep up the momentum to hit the 3-goal target set by the Malaysian Karate Federation, or MAKAF. Adam Akasha, a gold prospect in men's jiu-jitsu Niwaza Gi under 69 kilograms, could only grab bronze by defeating the Philippines' Michael Bryan Tew 4-2 in the bronze medal match. Now, Malaysia suffered their first defeat in 2 matches when they lost 2-0 to Thailand in a Group B men's football match of the SEA Games at the Prince Stadium yesterday. Now, Thailand, who have won the most gold medals in SEA Games football, scored through substitutes Anand Yotsangwal and Yotsakon Burapa in the second half to deal a setback to the Harimau Muda squad under coach E. Ella Varasan. In the match played under sweltering conditions with temperatures hitting 39 degrees Celsius, Malaysia had a better share of exchanges in the early stages before Thailand started showing their mettle in the 15th minute. The Isara Sritaro guided Thais continued to pressure the Malaysian defence and made it difficult for Ella Varasan's chargers to string their moves until the half-time whistle, and the trend persisted in the second half. However, Thailand found the goal they were searching for in the 73rd minute after Anand slipped through the Malaysian defence and lashed onto a pass from Chanarong Promsikau to drive a low shot past goalkeeper Sik Iza Nazril Sik Azman. Now, that goal clearly fired up the Thais while Malaysia's team lost, and a mistake by substitute Adam Farhan Muhammad Faisal was exploited by Thailand to launch a counter-attack, which resulted in the second goal by Yotsakon. Now, the defeat has not dashed Malaysia's semi-final hopes, but has made their task harder, as they will be playing defending champions Vietnam and Singapore in their 2 remaining matches. Meanwhile, a last-minute goal ended our national women's team's dream of a surprise over the Philippines as they lost 1-0 in the second Group A match at the SEA Games last night. The defeat at Army Stadium brought the Malayan Tigers' campaign to an end after they failed to win a single point in their first 2 matches, having lost 3-0 to defending champions Vietnam in their opening match last Wednesday. Sarina Isabel Calpo Bolden was the hero of the night when she struck the back of Malaysia's net in the injury time at the end of the second half, heading in the ball from a corner kick, beating Malaysian goalkeeper Nur Eza Shikin Abdul Razak. Now, the match was headed for a draw after the Malaysians did well to break their opponents' attacks, but failed to threaten them in return. Now, Malaysia will wrap up their Group A matches against Myanmar at the same venue next Tuesday. Vietnam currently leads Group A with 6 points, followed by the Philippines with 3 points, Myanmar 3 points, and Malaysia last without a single point. Urawa Red Diamonds claim the Asian Champions League title for the 3rd time as Andre Carrillo's own goal earned the Japanese side a 1-0 victory over defending champions Al Hilal yesterday and a 2-1 aggregate win. Carrillo's error 3 minutes into the second half swung the tie in Urawa's favour, despite Al Hilal dominating for lengthy periods before the Japanese side added a crown to the titles they won in 2007 and 2017. Urawa held the upper hand going into the second leg at Saitama Stadium after Shinzo Kuroki's equaliser last Saturday had earned his team an away goal in the 1-1 draw in Riyadh. The Saudis, missing the suspended Salim Al-Dawsari and injured Salman Al-Faraj, dominated the opening 45 minutes of the second leg, with Urawa's Alexander Schultz forced to clear Odion Igalo's early effort off the line. However, 3 minutes into the second half, Urawa did go ahead, Carrillo putting into his own net after Marius Hoy Bratton's win-assisted header across goal caused panic in the Al Hilal defence to delight the majority in the 53,574 crowd. Now, Al Hilal were denied the opportunity to take the game into extra time in the 90th minute when Shusaku Nishikawa reacted to push away Igalo's goal-bound effort as Urawa held on. In Bundesliga race, Bayern Munich were made to work hard for more than an hour before battling past host Werder Bremen 2-1 this morning to go provisionally 4 points clear at the top of the Bundesliga with 3 games left to play. The Bavarians, who only have the Bundesliga left to fight for after their German Cup and Champions League exits in recent weeks, dominated the ball possession from the start. However, they lacked the final punch in front of goal. Now, the hosts, without injured top Bundesliga scorer Niklas Füllkrug, gradually found their footing but struggled to convert their chances. Bayern, chasing a record-stretching 11th straight league title, took the lead in the 62nd minute when Sadio Mane crossed into the penalty area to Jamal Musiala, who set up Gnabry to score. The goal instantly took a load off Bayern's shoulders, and substitute Leroy Sané cut into the box from the right to drill in their second in the 72nd. Niklas Schmidt injected some late drama into the game when the blasted ball passed keeper Jan Sommer and into the top corner in the 87th to cut the deficit. Now, Bayern once again topped the league with 65 points in their hands, 4 ahead of Borussia Dortmund, who have 4 matches left to play. Final item on tennis, Belarusian second seed Aryna Sabalenka beat Iga Świątek 6-3, 3-6, 6-3 to win the Madrid Open, avenging her defeat by the Polish world number 1 in last month's Stuttgart final. Sabalenka produced a great performance to beat Świątek for the first time on clay, proving that she will be a serious title contender when the French Open begins later this month. The 25-year-old Sabalenka made things rather uncomfortable for Świątek from the outset with her aggressive tactics, breaking the 2-time Roland Garros champion serve in the 8th game en route to bagging the first set. Now, Świątek fought back in the second as she raced into a 3-love lead before levelling the contest at 1-all. However, Australian Open champion Sabalenka dug in to show that she was no pushover as she opened up a 3-love lead in the decider. Now, Świątek kept everyone on the edge of their seats as she made it 3-all in a thrilling third set. Sabalenka then went on to break Świątek's serve with a brilliant cross-court forehand before wrapping up the win on her 4th match point. And that concludes today's edition of Updates at Noon. In our top story, PRN candidates advised to avoid issues that incite public anger. We leave you with visuals of King Charles III and Queen Camilla returning to Buckingham Palace in the Gold State coach, as thousands applauded and held up phones to capture a glimpse of the newly crowned royals in the 260-year-old carriage. I'm Jessica Lee. Thank you for watching.